My family, who hated me to the point of excommunication, contacted out of the blue. What should I do? When I was just 2 years old, my parents welcomed another child into our family, and we named her Emma. Emma has always been known for her intelligence, discipline, and kindness, making her the favorite in our family. We come from a prominent and wealthy family in China with several businesses and properties. Because of this, Emma has always had everything she desires handed to her on a silver platter, while I often had to work extra hard with chores just to earn a little extra allowance. By the time I turned 14, Chinese New Year came around, and we received our customary red pockets filled with money. Emma and I both received one. When we opened them, Emma found herself with a stack of 12 red bills. It was a symbol of prosperity and a wish that she would never face financial struggles. In contrast, I had only 6 red bills in mine. Feeling upset, I cried out that it wasn't fair. In response to my outburst, my parents took my red pocket away and sent me to my room as punishment. I remember feeling hurt and upset. Emma, always the compassionate one, came to comfort me. She even offered to split her red pocket money with me, but I refused and asked her to leave. It wasn't always easy being in Emma's shadow, but these experiences have taught me the value of hard work and resilience. Ever since I can remember, every Chinese New Year has been the same story. Emma would receive 12 lavish gifts, ranging from gold and money to blessings and praises from the elders. As the eldest sibling, I always got a smaller share, and as the years went by, the amount dwindled even more. Their excuse? I was getting older, so I needed less. 2 years ago, our family went all out for Chinese New Year. We even gave thick red pockets to all our employees. When it came time for my grandfather to hand out the red pockets to his grandchildren, everyone received one except for Emma. I found it odd but brushed it off. Then my grandfather called Emma over and handed her an envelope. As she read its contents, her face lit up with joy. She had received 12% of one of our family-owned companies. I was furious. It just wasn't fair. To give you some background, I had been working at the company to earn extra money for school. I put in the effort to learn everything I could, took on projects that benefited the company, and worked hard to boost sales. Yet, despite all my hard work and contributions, I never received the recognition or rewards I felt I deserved. Instead, they gave Emma the shares that should have been mine. That day, I saw red. I couldn't hold back my feelings any longer. I lashed out at everyone, questioning why I didn't get the shares, insisting that it wasn't fair and that Emma didn't deserve them. My emotional outburst didn't go down well with my family. In the heat of the moment, my father stood up and slapped me across the face. He called me an ungrateful child and yelled at me to get out of his house, saying he didn't want an ungrateful child living under his roof anymore. Shocked and hurt, I left without even packing my things. I got into my car and drove away, not looking back. 2 years have passed since that day, and I've moved to another country. I haven't reached out to any of them, and they haven't tried to contact me either. I haven't bothered to find out what's been happening with them since I left. All I know is that they've essentially disowned me. It seems unbelievable that they would cut me off completely just because I lashed out at them in frustration. On February 2nd, I received an email from my father inviting me to join them for Chinese New Year at their house. Reading that email brought tears to my eyes. There was no apology, just a simple request for my attendance. The weight of it all led to a mental breakdown, and I had to take a 2-day leave from work to gather myself. I chose not to respond to that email. Now, 3 weeks later, I've received another email, this time inviting me to visit China and spend time with them. They even offered to cover the cost of my plane tickets and provide me with an allowance. I find myself torn. Part of me wants to go back to China, especially to spend time with my gong grandfather. But another part of me is hesitant, still hurt by how they treated me before. It's a difficult decision to make. Should I go back and try to mend things, or should I continue to keep my distance? My family has always been very strict, so when I had my emotional outburst, they saw it as outright defiance. Their reaction made it clear that they felt I was rejecting them and their values. To answer the question of how I knew they hated me, after I left, my father fired me from the company and banned me from setting foot in our family mansion and any of our company properties. It was as if I had been erased from their lives. My mother's words were even more painful. She told her friends that she regretted giving birth to such a defiant child. Hearing that from her devastated me. How could a mother say she wished her own child didn't exist? My brother took it a step further by blocking me on social media. His final post before blocking me read, "Do not contact me. She is not our family anymore. We have no ties with her." Emma, my sister, was also upset with me. She felt that I looked down on her, adding to the rift between us. Even my aunts, uncles, and cousins chose to cut ties with me, leaving me feeling completely isolated and excommunicated from my own family. Minor update. I finally mustered the courage to respond to their email. I kept it simple, asking them a few questions. Why did you contact me? What is your purpose for reaching out? How is everyone doing? That's all I wanted to know for now. Edit. Here's a mini update on the email situation. My father replied to my email, expressing that he reached out because he misses me. He also apologized for how he treated me in the past and expressed a desire to reconcile our relationship. It was a surprise to hear this from him. In response, I sent another email with a link to a video call and suggested we connect at 2 p.m. Chinese time. During the call, I saw my mother, father, brother, Emma, and my paternal grandparents on the screen. We exchanged basic greetings and talked about what's been going on in China and in my life abroad. However, I soon grew tired of the small talk. I wanted answers. I asked them directly why my hard work and efforts were never rewarded, while they seemed to favor Emma so much. I wanted to understand why they treated me the way they did and why they made me feel so excluded from the family. Growing up, I always felt the weight of strict expectations placed on me by my family. In our culture, being born in the year of the dragon is considered lucky. It's believed that those born in this year will be blessed with success and will dominate in whatever field they choose to work in. Emma was born in the year 2000, also known as the Year of the Dragon. Because of this, my paternal family saw her birth as an auspicious blessing. They believed that having Emma around the company more often would bring prosperity and good fortune. This belief seemed to explain why Emma always received 12 lavish items, while I was left with whatever they chose to give me. I can't say that I ever truly hated Emma. However, there were moments when I couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy or resentment, especially when it seemed like they were favoring her again. As for me, my birth wasn't exactly planned. My parents had initially wanted just one child, preferably a boy. I came into the picture 3 years after my brother. While my parents did care for me, it often felt like they struggled to love me in the same way they loved my brother. I once asked them why they decided to have Emma, and their answer shattered me. They said that Emma was meant to bring blessings to our family. Hearing that, I couldn't contain my emotions any longer. I broke down and screamed that it wasn't fair, reminding them that I was their child too and deserved love and recognition just like Emma. During our emotional video call, both my mother and father broke down in tears, expressing deep regret for how they had treated me. They said that if they could go back in time, they would give me the love and attention I deserved. They admitted that it pained them to think of missing out on key moments in my life, like my piano recital and high school graduation. As I listened to them, tears streamed down my face. I echoed their sentiments, crying out that it wasn't fair that I had missed out on a happy childhood. At that point, we were all in tears, our emotions raw and overwhelming. Wanting answers, I asked them why my efforts at the company were never rewarded. My grandfather, who had always seemed so set in his ways, admitted that his views were outdated. He confessed that he had never wanted me to hold a position at the company, but he acknowledged the pain he had caused me. As an olive branch, he promised that if I were to move back, he would give me the position of director. And just to clarify, the company is still thriving and provides a stable income. It wasn't a desperate plea on their part. Our call lasted for an hour, during which we talked about family matters, caught up on my life abroad, and even shared some lighter moments. I mentioned how I had attended a Taylor Swift concert in Australia, which brought smiles to my parents' faces. In fact, they offered to buy me floor tickets for Taylor's upcoming concert in Singapore. My mother also mentioned how much my Gong Gong grandfather misses me and urged me to visit him in Shanghai. She even offered to cover the cost of my tickets and hotel. Feeling a mix of emotions, I accepted her offer. I know it might seem quick to forgive them, but the truth is, I miss my family, especially Gong Gong. So I've decided to fly back to China at the end of February. I'll be sure to provide an update once I'm back and share how things go during my visit. Update. I arranged to meet my family at a hotel in Guangzhou for what promised to be an emotional reunion. Despite my initial intention to keep conversation with my parents and siblings to a minimum, they seemed eager to know about my life abroad and my job. Their questions, although well-intentioned, stirred up feelings of discomfort and reminded me of the pain from the past. Seeing my unease, my aunt stepped in, suggesting that we focus on enjoying our meal first. I appreciated her intervention, even though the atmosphere remained tense. The wounds of rejection and betrayal were still raw for me, making the experience quite awkward. After we finished eating, my aunt encouraged me to speak openly about my feelings and the wrongs I felt had been done to me. Taking her advice, I began to share my heartaches and grievances. As I recounted my experiences, tears welled up in my eyes. Thankfully, we were in a private room, so I felt comfortable letting my emotions flow freely. That night, as I cried, my cousins stepped in to comfort me. They offered words of support and even fed me mooncakes, a gesture that felt incredibly comforting and familiar. Despite the pain and awkwardness of the evening, it was comforting to know that I had family members who were there for me, ready to offer solace during this emotional time. The emotional night came to an end with all of us shedding tears, marking a slight reconciliation in our strained family ties. They offered to let me stay with them, but I declined, mentioning that I had a plane to catch soon. They seemed surprised, thinking I was heading back abroad so soon. However, I clarified that I was just visiting Gong Gong. My mother then suggested that I postpone my flight so the whole family could visit Gong Gong together. Feeling a mix of emotions, I agreed and cancelled my original flight. Instead, I booked a hotel for my stay, wanting to distance myself from the place where I had felt so humiliated and betrayed. Over the next 2 weeks, I cherished the time spent with Gong Gong. One afternoon during our tea time, he handed me a folder and urged me to open it. To my astonishment, I found a legal document inside that stated I would inherit half of the company that Gong Gong owned. Gong Gong told me that life had thrown many challenges my way, and he believed I deserved all the success I had achieved. He wanted to give me full control of his company, either when he passes away or when I felt ready to take on the responsibility. Tears of gratitude filled my eyes once again. My family shared in my joy, genuinely happy for me. For the first time in a long while, I felt needed and appreciated by my family. This unexpected gesture from Gong Gong was a turning point, bringing a newfound sense of belonging and purpose to my life. The trip was filled with so many moments, both big and small, that it would take forever to recount everything. So I'll focus on the key events that had a significant impact on me. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for all the support and kind messages I've received from everyone. Your encouragement helped me see the bigger picture and guided me towards making the right decisions. Edit. I appreciate all the comments and messages of support. I'd like to clarify something important. My Gong Gong has been my main source of support over these past 2 years. His actions and gestures towards me are genuine and come from a place of love and understanding. There's nothing suspicious about his actions. He has been a pillar of strength for me during this challenging time.